Hello everyone and welcome to the Food Processing Equipment Design course, shortly known as FPE. Myself, Dr. Sandeep Singh Rana, I am Assistant Professor, Food Technology. So in this course, we are going to design some food processing equipment and we are going to gain the knowledge which is very much needed to get the confidence in food process industry. So in with this course, we need a basic engineering knowledge like a basic mathematical knowledge and basic food engineering fundamentals should be clear to us before starting this course. That's why I suggest this course to the 7th and 8th semester student of food technology, BTech students. So in this course we are going to see how to design the equipments. We'll thoroughly go one by one for almost every aspect of designing mostly used equipments in food processing. So, without wasting any further time, let's start this lecture. So, lecture 1 is in this lecture we are going to see the introduction in which we are going to see the introduction of food processing equipments. Then we will see the engineering fundamentals principles, fundamental engineering principles which are applicable or applied in food designing of food processing equipments. Then we will classify the food processing equipments based upon application, like where we are going to apply what equipment, and then based upon their application, we will design it. We will classify it. Then we will see the design and selection criteria or design and selection consideration for food processing equipment. So, what is food processing equipment? Before going to understand food processing equipments, we should understand what do you mean by food processing. So, food processing is a process in which we use raw material and we'll try to convert into processed final material, a final processed final product which is edible, which should be consumable. So, we undergo certain unit operations during this process, during this transition from raw product to final product. So the equipments need to operate or to perform those unit operation are known as food processing equipments. So if we go by bookish definition, then food processing equipment is a term referring to the components or the machine or the system used to handle, prepare, cook, or store the packaging or store and package of food products. So these handle, prepare, cook are the various unit operations we perform during this transformation from raw product to final product. And the goal for food processing equipments are it should perform certain unit operations. First goal is it should perform certain unit operation or certain function. It can be primary function or auxiliary function, and it should also extend the shelf life of the product. For example, if we are going to we need a sterilizer to sterilize a milk, sterilize the milk. So if we are taking unprocessed milk, the shelf life of the milk can be 6 to 8 hours. But if we sterilize the milk with the help of a sterilizer, the shelf life of the milk can be extended to 6 to 8 months. Condition, we have to pack it also in hermetically sealed packs, like we see the Tetra packs. So we need a packaging equipment as well. So another goal for the food processing equipment is it should increase the palatability, consumability, and digestibility of the product. Like it should make the product to be digested, easily digested. So next slide is about how we apply various fundamental engineering principles into food processing. So we have gained till now we have gained a lot of knowledge. We have studied a lot of engineering concept, lot of engineering fundamentals and principle. How we are going to apply those principles? For example, for instance let's take the food processing techniques. Let's take any food processing technique like pasteurization. In pasteurization process, we need to apply basics from heat and mass transfer process so that we can design a pasteurizer. Sorry, I have to go back. Huh? So we should design we should design the pasteurizer with the help of heating principles, like either by heating or cooling equations we have studied till now, fundamental principles. Then if we go for packaging techniques, we need the diffusion formula to design a packet, like water vapor transmission rate basics. We have to understand all those things, and we should apply that to design any packaging unit. Then if we are going to make any new manufacturing process, we need to know about fundamentals. Then if we are going to build a food processing plant, then we need lot of fundamentals of civil engineering and all. And very much important is food processing equipment design. We need math knowledge in designing the food processing equipments. If we are going to design equipments, we should thorough with the principles, like if we are designing something for liquids, we should thorough about the Bernoulli's equation. If we are designing something for solid, we should thorough about the behavior, nature, how the solids work under temperature, high temperature, under low temperature. We should having those basic ideas. Then next comes the then let's classify the equipments based upon their application. So first one is preparation equipments. Here comes in preparation equipments we prepare the product for next step. Suppose first our basic step, for example, let's say take any material. So it is always having dust on it, or it is full of impurities. In preparation equipments, we clean the product, we sort it, or other type of principle like grading, sorting. In mechanical process, after preparation equipment, we pass the product to the mechanical processing. And mechanical process, we generally make the product more feasible for further processing. For example, if we are dealing with wheat, we clean the wheat by using preparation equipments. Then by using mechanical equipment, we'll make the dough of the wheat so that we can further process it and convert it into biscuit. So here we change the form of product into another so that it will be feasible for further processing. Then comes the heat processing equipments in which heat is involved. For example, if you are going to sterilize something, then we have to increase the heat. For example, if you are making ice creams, we have to freeze it. So in which temperature is involved, that is heat processing equipment. Then comes the preservation equipments. Preservation equipments mostly deal with the packaging equipments, or freezers, dryers, those equipments in which which help to preserve the material. Lastly, the storage and material handling equipments, those equipments which are needed to store the equipments for like silos, bins. And material handling equipments are the equipments which are needed for connect all the operation. We need material handling equipments to take product from one process to another process, or one equipment to another equipment. We need conveyors in industry, so for that we need material handling equipment. So we will understand these equipments in detail in further slides. Let's talk about preparation equipments first. So as we know, preparation equipments are the equipments in which we prepare the product for the next step. So first preparation equipment is cleaning equipment. So in cleaning equipments, again classified into wet cleaning or dry cleaning based upon the method of cleaning we are going to. In wet cleaning, we are going to deal with water. So the equipments used are soap flotation tanks, spread washers, sterilization tanks, or ultrasonic cleaners. In dry cleaning, we generally go for magnetic separator, air classifier, or screen separators. Then the next come the grading equipments. Grading equipments are equipments which are used to grade the product on the based upon their economic value or based upon their market cost. We grade the equipment. So we grade the product. So equipments used for grading is image processors or any custom made equipments, tungsten lights. Then comes for the sorting equipment. Sorting equipments are the equipment which on the basis of shape, size, or physical properties we sort the equipment, uh, sort the product on basis of on these principles. For example, equipments are disk separators, sieves, machine vision, and sorting conveyors. Peeling equipments are the equipments in which we do peeling or we remove the upper cover of the product. For peeling equipment is mostly used for fruit and vegetable processing, in which we remove the outer cover, which is very important for any food processing equipment. Uh, like for further processes, peeling is the basic operation we have to do. So we use pressure vessel or fresh steel peelers, or we use stationary peelers, abrasive peelers, conveyors. So there are many conveyors which are used for peeling also. So next come the mechanical processing equipments. After preparatory equipments, we need mechanical equipments for further making the raw product more feasible for further processing. So first subclass of mechanical processing equipments are the size reduction equipments, in which we reduce the size of the product by using any type of impact force or compression force or abrasion force, or what we call this shear force. By shear force, impact force, or by the compression force, we break the product in smaller um, particles, and it will increase the area of the product. It will increase the area of the product. Sorry, I have to go back. So this, let me take the pointer. Let me take the other one. Highlighter. Yeah, this is better. And we'll change the color as well. Let's change it to red. So we increase the area by increasing the size, by decreasing the size of the product. So what happens by increasing the area, we will, like if we are going for next, suppose any heat operation, so we know Q is equals to UA delta T. If we increase in the area, we will increase Q, heat transfer coefficient, heat transfer rate. If the heat transfer rate is higher, then our process will complete faster. So that is the benefit of reducing the size of the product. It is more feasible. It will give us the open hand for the next process. Or like if we are not increasing the area, then we will increase the volume of the product. So to increase the volume of the product, we need size enlargement equipments. So size enlargement equipments are extraction, extrusions, agglomeration, and forming are the three methods in which we increase the size of the product. So extrusion, we know, like single screw extruder, twin screw extruder, refrigerated extruder, non-thermal extruder are there. So in the agglomeration, we use rotating fan, rotating drums, which will increase the size of the product, volume of the product. Then we use, to make the foam, we use dough molder, pie and biscuit former, confectionery molder, and abroading machines. So these two are used for solid particles. Now call when we say the size reduction in liquid, we go for homogenizer. In liquid, when we increase the size, we increase the area again for liquid. But we can't use these size reduction equipments for liquids. So we need to go for homogenizer, in which we increase the pressure and we'll pass through very small area. We'll pass the product, and with the high pressure, it will help to sprinkle at the other end. It will reduce the area. It will reduce the size of the particles. So homogenizers are the example for homogenization equipments. Emulsifiers, colloidal mill, high pressure, high shear mixers are the example for homogenization equipment. Then next come the mixing equipments. So fluid mixtures, depending upon the type of the raw material we are dealing with. Suppose if we are dealing with fluids, fluids, powder material or solid material, then we need, based upon our requirement, we need different types of equipments. For example, in case of fluid, we'll go with the agitation tanks, pendle mixer, anchor mixer, turbine mixer. Where in case of the dough and plaster, like in case of doughs or plastic mixer, paste, we'll go for the horizontal dough mixtures or sigma blade or cutter mixtures. In case of solid, we go with diffusers, convective mixtures, drum blenders. So next comes the heating processing, in which heat is involved. Those equipments are known as heat processing equipments. So baking equipments can be a perfect example for heat processing equipments, like baking ovens, in which we need a lot of temperature. Then comes the evaporative equipments, in which we increase the concentration of the product. It can be evaporators or condensers. So I'm giving the short forms so that it will be helpful for you. Then comes the blanching equipments, those equipments which are used for blanching of the product. It is a primary operation. Then after that we'll go for the other further operations. So water blancher can be the example for blanching equipments, in which heat is there. So dehydration equipments can be any type of dryer, conductive, radiative dryers. Any type of dryers can be dehydrator. Then frying equipments are used to gain very high temperature for very short time. Then comes the sterilization equipments. Sterilization equipments are those in which pressure and temperature are high. Then come the roasting equipments. Roasting equipments are very much similar to the baking equipments, like roasting ovens are there, in which we achieve lot of very high temperature. Next come the preservation equipments. So these equipments are generally helps to increase the shelf life of the product by killing the harmful bacteria. So radiation equipments are the equipments in which we use radiation, like isotope accelerator or electron accelerators, in which we use radiation to kill the microbes, which will basically penetrate the outer membrane of the microbes, and it will kill the microbes. Then comes the cooling equipments, like if we reduce the temperature, we'll reduce the um multiplication rate of the product, multiplication rate of the microbes, harmful microbes, and it will eventually increase the shelf life of product. So we use mechanical refrigerators for as a chiller, or we use for freezers like cryogenic systems or mechanical refrigerators for as a freezers. Next come the concentration equipments. Our concentration equipments basically will remove the water here and we will make the more more concentrated products with the help of evaporators and the condenser. Here heat transfer is involved. So we'll find out where most of the equipments can be used for more than one or two applications. Like here where we are going to supply heat, so we can do with evaporators or condenser, and here we are going to reduce the moisture by concentrate the any of our raw material. We can use evaporator condensers. Then comes the drying equipments. Dryers we already discussed. Convective dryers, contact dryer, vacuum freeze dryers are there. So here I tried to keep the symbols which they are used for industry for different types of equipment. For example, concentrating equipment they use this symbol. For cooling equipment they use this symbol. For irradiation they use this symbol. I like likewise for with the every slide it is there. Like I tried to keep it. So I'll try to make the slides more informative for you. So last one is the storage and material handling equipments. Those are the equipments. Like first we'll talk about the storage equipments. So storage equipments based upon the type of the equipment, type of our raw material, we are going to decide our storage equipment. For example, if we are going to store solid products, we will go for bags, bins, boxes, or silos. But if we are going to store liquid products, we are going to go with storage tanks, vats, and pressure vessels. Suppose during storage we are going to maintain the conditions, so we'll go for cold storage rooms, or we'll go for MAPs, modified atmospheric storage rooms, or we'll go for CAPs depending upon our requirements. Then these material handling equipments are the equipments which is key to connect one operation with another or one equipment with another. So suppose if we are dealing with solid products, we'll go with conveyors like screw conveyor, bucket conveyor, bucket elevator, belt conveyor. If we are dealing with fluids, then we go with pipes, pumps, turbines, tubes. So this will be the last slide for the presentation, today's topic. So here we will talk about the design and selection consideration for food processing equipment. So here, if we talk function, first criteria for selection or designing of the equipment is function. So equipment should perform a certain function. For example, if we are going to design the equipment for sugarcane processing, so we should design a peeler which should peel it. Okay, our equipment should peel the sugarcane, or we will go with the juicer which should juice the sugarcane. Okay, so as first is function, which what function we are going to take from the equipment. If we are going to design a conveyor, are we going to design a conveyor or a processing equipment or a heat exchanging equipment? What are the functions we are going to perform? Depending upon that, we will decide the criteria for this further processes. Next come the form. Form is what form of raw material we are going to use. Like our what stage our raw material is. Like for example, our raw material is liquid, solid, either in solid form or liquid form. Okay, suppose if we are dealing with, suppose our aim is conveying. Okay, our function is conveying. We decided the function. Now we'll see for the which form of our raw material is. So suppose we are dealing with liquids, we'll go with pipes. But if we are dealing with solids, we can go with, yes, belts, belt conveyor or screw conveyors, depending upon our requirements. So first we have to design, justify the function, what function we are going to perform, then which form we are dealing with the product. Next step for designing of any equipment is very much important step is hygiene design. Equipment should be designed in such a way that it should we should able to clean the equipment thoroughly, because if we are not able to do it, it will generate a lot of food safety hazards and food safety problems in the plant. And because of one equipment is not working properly in plant, can shut down the whole plant. So because we are not able to clean up equipment because of its design. If suppose we designed one silo for milk, and we design such a way that we can't clean it properly. And suppose next batch is, when we are filling, one batch is done, and when we are filling the next batch with the silo, we are going to spoil all the milk, and it is also going to uh, create a problem in terms of food safety if we are going for further processing. So equipment should be designed with the hygienic design concept. We should be able to clean the equipment thoroughly. Then next comes the sizing. Sizing is basically deal with the what will be the size of our equipment. Like what will be the capacity of our equipment. Are we going to design for 500 kg? Based on that, we are going to set the dimension of the equipment. Or we are going to design for 1000 kgs of our raw material. So our dimension will be larger. Like then we have to decide the size of the equipment. Size we will take from how much raw material we are getting, or how much material, final material we have to process. That is comes from the sizing of the equipment. Sorry. Next comes with the construction requirements. So construction requirements are basically given by the like from the firm which are asking you to design the equipment. For example, if we are designing conveyors, then we have to go to the construction site and we'll see the dimensions, how much length for the conveyor we have to design, how much width of the conveyor we have to design. Are there any instruments which are coming in between, like are there limitations? One wall is there, or any some equipment is there, so that we have to design our conveyor in such a way that it should bend from some places. Suppose if one pillar is from point A to B, we are designing, and we are having some pillar in between, so we have to design our equipment in such a way, or we can design another way. Depending upon the construction requirements, we have to go through the equipment design. We have to change the equipment design. So we should consider the construction requirement. Next comes the operational characteristics. So basically comes either we are going for manually operated equipment, we are going to design a manually operated equipment, or we are going for an automatically operated equipment. Our equipment is a batch type or a continuous type. All those operation characteristics, what are the characteristics for our operation, we have to see and we have to design accordingly. So lastly, the cost. We should always keep in mind the cost of the equipment. And when we are talking about cost of the equipments, like custom made equipments are always costlier than the standard equipment, because in standard equipments we will use standard raw materials. For example, we use the cast iron rods which are readily available in the market, whereas in custom made materials we need to prepare the raw cast iron rods by either by grinding or by using lathe machines, and then we use going to use it for custom made. So cost is always a criteria when we are going to design or select the material for the equipment design. So with this I rest this lecture. So for this lecture, I suggest a chapter on design and selection of food processing equipments for better knowledge for the subject, and the book is Handbook of Food Processing Equipment. Please do read this chapter and it will help you for next lectures also. Thank you. See you till next lecture. Bye.